for joining me. I'm Anna from Craft Me a Card, and I'm crafting for the crafter, and that is you. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, which is including some stuff for card maker beginners. It was brought to my attention that I actually have some viewers that are beginners. Card makers, and one in particular, Elizabeth, thank you so much for letting me know that I actually inspired you to become a card maker. I'm overjoyed to see a new card maker be born. And so for today's video, she asked me to please let her know what she needs to begin to start taking on card making as a hobby. So really all you need for card making is a piece of paper and a pen. Like this card that my husband made for me. So he just went ahead and he wrote some words, and this was a card. I mean, that's really all you need. But if you want to take card making to the next level, which is where card maker beginners are, this is my list of recommended things that you should have on hand. And first is cardstock. We need cardstock. We need paper to make our cards. And cardstock is paper that's a little thicker. And usually 110 pound is a good weight for cardstock for a card. And these papers you just fold in half, and that's going to be your card base. And I recommend getting white because white cardstock you could transform into whatever you want. You could add color, ink, paint to it, and you could already start making a card come to life with it using white colored cardstock. Now, once you have the white colored cardstock, you could go ahead and print on it. There are digital images that are used for printing that are sold online, or you can find them free online and print these images out, print these backgrounds out, and use on your cards. If you have colored cardstock, that always helps because you give your cards color. I purchased this one. This is a pack of different colors of cardstock included in this pack. And this one I bought at Michael's. They also have them at Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, wherever you can find color cardstock. That's where I get it. And I always try to use my coupons when I go to these stores, so it could be a little less costly. And of course, scissors. We need scissors. We're dealing with paper, so scissors is a great way to cut paper. Once you start with card making and you start getting more things to embellish your cards, like ribbon, you are going to want a pair of scissors specifically for cutting cloth or ribbon, or else the scissors that you use for cutting paper will munch on the ribbon, not really cut it. Number 3 on the list is glue. We need glue, and I recommend using liquid glue only because I feel that liquid glue bonds for a longer period of time. Another way to cut your paper, not necessary, it's not needed, but it will make your life a lot easier when cutting paper. You could use scissors, but scissors don't give you that straight line that we want. I started off with this glider cutter. This is Cricut. As time went on, the wedge here that guides the blade started getting wider, so I was getting wider and more narrow pieces of paper, so I had to stop using this. What I am using now is this paper trimmer, which is very light, and it cuts very nice. And I do recommend, if you get a paper trimmer, to get a guillotine. I feel that the guillotine has helped me get more consistent straight lines. I also have this larger guillotine, but I was using 12 by 12 paper. So because I have a lot of 12 by 12 paper, I use this to cut that in smaller pieces. But on my desk, I always have this one on hand to cut. But again, when you start card making, just get whatever is cheaper, whatever is more available to you. Number 5 on the list, something else that we need for cutting, and that is crafter's knives. This is by X-ACTO, and this is by We Are Memory Keepers. Now, these, as you can see, has a sharp blade, and these also help you cut paper, helps you cut sentiments, helps you cut images out. It helps you make slits in places where you need it. So this is a very handy tool that I recommend for every card maker to have on hand. Number 6, we need sentiments. We need something for the card to show what it is for, whether it be a graduation, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Mother's Day, birthday, anything that could point out what the card is for. If you have a printer, you could print out sentiments and then cut them out and then paste them on your card. Black and white is fine. If you have a black and white printer, don't stress out because you don't have color. Get that color of black and move the shading onto it where you could get different colors of gray, and that will give some character to your sentiment. You could also purchase stamps. Find yourself some rubber stamps, some acrylic stamps, a set that has different kinds of sentiments for different kinds of occasions. I have this one here. This is an acrylic one. There are also some better quality that are photopolymer. This one here is acrylic, and what it is that you peel them off of this backing here, and then you place them on an acrylic block. It doesn't have to be an acrylic block. You could use whatever surface you may have that is flat. Like these little, I have this little thing here that I could put my stamp here, put the ink on it, and then stamp it onto my project. I mentioned ink. If you do decide to get some stamps, you will need some ink. And black ink is the best to always have on hand. Aside from the acrylic stamps, we have the ones on wooden blocks like this one. But they serve the same purpose. Whichever one you find, whichever one you like the best. If you don't have any stamps because you don't have any ink yet, go ahead and look for some stickers. There are many stores that have very affordable stickers. I bought these at the Dollar Tree the other day, and these are flamingos. This one has like, let's flamingo. Fun, joy, and fun. And these are great ways to put a sentiment on the card. If you have stickers, go ahead and use them. And of course, for later, there's always die cutting machines. I actually started with the die cutting machine, which is something like this. My husband gave me one for Christmas, but it was a smaller one. That's how I started my card making journey. And with the years, of course, I upgraded to a larger one, which is the one that I'm using now. Back in the days, they used to sell you these Cricut cartridges, which are little boxes like this that had little cartridges inside. Little cartridges inside like this, and it had a mat to put on your Cricut. This is way before. Now everything is done digitally. It's done on an app. You don't need to be dealing with these Cricut cartridges. Every Cricut cartridge had images to it that you could choose from to cut out. Now the images are found on the app, but they do charge you for the images, but they do have a lot of images that are free that you can use. Another type of die cutting machine is the manual one, which is my preference, because I like the finish that a die cut gives a sentiment or an image. And all it is a manual die cutting machine. I use an electrical one, and you use metal dies with this. You do have to purchase each metal die. It does become a little more on the pricey side, but I just prefer the quality of it. So these die cutting machines are just something for you to simmer for the future. But for now, you don't need a die cutting machine with a sticker or with a stamp, or printing a sentiment out is more than enough to start on your card making journey. Another thing, number 7, is something that I recommend to have is some foam adhesive. And this foam adhesive, because of the foam, it gives your projects some dimension. It makes them pop out. And you're going to be spending time making these cards. Make them beautiful, make them stand out, and add some foam adhesive under some of the images, under the sentiment, to make it stand out. If you don't have foam adhesive, you don't know where to find it, I buy mine at the 99-cent store. But if you don't have any, you could go ahead and layer some pieces of paper to go ahead and give your image or your sentiment dimension. Or you could fold some cardboard and stick under your sentiment and make that stand out that way. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys have learned something for those beginners. I know that I also have a lot of advanced card makers, so thank you for joining me anyway. But it serves for me to share where I do my editing. And this is my screen here, and that's my microphone. And my faithful companion, Chewy, he's always by the window. That's where he sees the mailman and gardeners pass by and starts barking his head off. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you soon. And in between my tutorials for advanced card makers, I will be inputting some of these videos that are for people who are starting off with card making, with some tips and tricks for them as well. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Find yourself a 7 on my list. Of course, you need sentiments. You need to USA.